Hey guys, Qui-Gon Jake here, and welcome back to another Thoughtful Thursdays. Not sure what day this is going to be coming out. It may not actually be on a Thursday. It might be on a Sunday or a Tuesday, like a Taco Tuesday, but still on a Friday or something like that. But regardless, it has been one crazy. We, the last 7 to 8 days have been just some of the craziest ups and downs that I have had in a very long time. And so that has been a major contributor as to why the War Without Winners hasn't had an episode last week. Not that I'm trying to make a reason or an excuse for it, it's just where it is in life. But it started off with my car's AC stopped working. And this is in the middle of a 26 record day heat in Phoenix, Arizona. We got a new record for longest consecutive days where the high was above 110 degrees. So a really bad time for my car's AC to go out. Really bad time. Especially when I was looking into or for my work that I do, I obviously have to have a functioning car with functioning air conditioning. And after getting it looked at, unfortunately, it wasn't like it was a simple fix. It ended up being the whole compressor needed to get replaced, and the potential costs of that is anywhere from $600 to almost $2,000. And so I was budgeting also. I was starting to squirrel away funds just for such a event happening, but I hadn't saved up $1,000 yet. So that was a very major, like, oh crap. It's like, what? I need a car, but I also need to be able to pay for rent. I need to pay utilities. I need to pay for groceries. How am I going to get all this paid? And so that was very stressful. That was very stressful. And then on top of that, I've been still doing EMDR, and it's trauma therapy is difficult because sometimes trauma will arise outside of therapy and it'll just hit you out of nowhere. Like I had one instance where I was working out and I just suddenly started feeling very angry and I couldn't figure out why. I didn't have a logical reason. There was nothing that had happened in the day that would be anything for me to focus my anger on. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? Why am I feeling this way? And so it was the harder I worked out, the more angry I became, and so eventually I had to go, okay, I had to stop and go, okay, what's checking with my body? What is going on? Where are we feeling this? What is the, what is the, not the emotion, but I guess what is the visual driving this emotion? So I had to sit down after doing like a few minutes into a workout and just took the rest of the time just to try to equalize and just get my body back in balance of like, okay, we're not there, we're in the present, and we are safe. But it's really major inconvenient timing. But I'm also grateful that I had my workout friends, workout buddies, just were there to help support me during that difficult point. Eventually, I got back the total costs for the car the day after that, I believe, and thankfully, because it was through a local repairman, it was only going to cost me $700. Still a lot of money and more than I'd saved up, but way less than I feared it was going to be. I was confident it was going to be four figures. So that was a like, whew, okay, could have been a lot worse. That was absolutely on the low end of what I thought I would have to spend. But yeah, that it was still not great news, but it was probably the least bad news that I could get. Afterwards, I dropped it off at the repairman's house and then went up on a vacation up to Pine Top, and that was a mixed bag of a vacation. There were a lot of pros and a lot of cons of just things that happened that were good, things that happened that weren't good. I was able to spend a lot of time with close friends, and we ate great, amazing food. I had like the best chili I have ever had, and I'm not a fan of chili, but the chili was so good, like I couldn't stop eating it. It was like just, what did you put in this? It's like this stuff is amazing. I think also the fact that we added rice and Fritos and cheese just was the perfect combination with the just fantastic chili base. that my friend used. It was, yeah, everyone agreed it was fantastic. We were also able to play a lot of fun board games like the sushi game. I think it's Sushi Go or something like that. We were able to play that one. Small World, played that. That was a fun game. And but there were also cons during the vacation. I just noticed a couple times where I would just emotionally shut down, and feel emotionally, just something triggered me. I just don't feel like I'm emotionally shutting down. And one thing that I recently learned from my psychiatrist pointed out was that I seem to have rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or RSD. And at first I was just like, what is that supposed to be? And apparently it turns out that it is something that runs very commonly with people with ADHD, which I have been diagnosed with. And basically it's everybody hates feeling rejected, right? No one likes feeling rejected or turned down, be it in a promotion or in a relationship or even in just day-to-day activities. Nobody likes that. But what rejection sensitivity dysphoria is an exceedingly heightened fear of both real and also perceived rejection. So not only what is straight up rejection, but also what the person feels like is rejection. And that can come in many different forms of, like, so and so didn't call me back, therefore they're rejecting me. When it's like, no, the reality was that your friend wasn't available at the time because their car was having mechanical trouble, and so they just couldn't get back to you at that moment. There's always a host of different, usually always a host of different valid reasons as to why someone might not be able to respond back to your text message right away. And so, but for people with RSD, it's the feelings go from 0 to 60 of just feeling overwhelmed in the blink of an eye. It is like however the brain processes rejection and stuff like that. That part of the brain functions very differently than people who are neurotypical, in that it just immediately fires stuff off, and the emotions can feel crushing and just overwhelming. And that one of the common effects of that is just randomly emotionally shutting down, just. And so that at least helped me feel a little more, helped me feel a little more validated, that I wasn't just crazy or you're just way too sensitive, that kind of stupid crap that people will spew on people with ADHD. But it still sucked. I was still, really struggling with these intense emotions. But once again, I was with close friends who understood and who cared about me, and I'm grateful that I was able to utilize my self-care arsenal to just seclude myself so that I wouldn't like have a emotional breakdown and then have that hurt my friends, kind of a thing. I was able to just take it, and I guess you could consider it nobly suffering alone, kind of a thing, which sucks. But it's better than the alternative of like breaking down in front of people and then expecting them to help fix you for some silly reason or not, because that's just telepathically expecting others to know your needs is an exceptionally unrealistic expectation. So I'm proud of myself that I was able to use these self-care skills that I've built up over the past 10 years, and even was able to utilize a gift that I got from one of my friends, which was it's called Therapets. It's like a bunch of 4x6 sized cards with positive affirmations and very important messages of, like, you do matter, you are worth it. And maybe I'll end up showing off some of those cards, because they were really impactful for me. They were really, like, some of those I never have heard this from anyone before, and it just brought me to tears, because it touched me so much, and it meant the world to me that one of my friends, thought of me when they saw this, and, like, I imagine that he'll really be able to utilize this, and it'll make his life a lot better, because they were right. It was spot on. It was also very, very, very fortunate timing, because I absolutely relied on that. One of the other things that I found out was that I have times where, because I'm 29, I'm not married. I'm not even in a relationship. I don't own my own house. I don't have kids, which is that's how society used to expect of, even by 25, you're in your career job, you're making the money, you have kids, like at least one or two, you own your own house, the American dream. That's just not a reality anymore, and especially not in the current market of, I don't expect to ever own my own house. If I do, that'd be really strange to me. But beyond that, just the whole sense of I try not to buy into what the society says. I knew people from college when I was like 18, 19, or 20 who were getting married at that age. And so there was always this, like, again, no one said that there was this pressure or the expectation to have gotten to a certain milestone. But I've sometimes struggled with feeling very much like I'm behind because a lot of my friends have significant relationships or are married and have kids, sometimes more than one or two. A lot of my siblings are married, even ones younger than me. And so there always is at the back of my mind that little voice that's just very critical, very hypercritical of, like, so and so has already got looks like they're in a great relationship and have kids, and it's like, yeah, but that may be true, but there's also bound to be a lot of other things going on underneath the surface of a beautiful life that I'm not privy to. I don't get to see those parts of the relationship. I typically only see the best parts. It's kind of like how toxic social media can be, which is why I'm not on social media, is that it tends to just always be a snapshot of the best parts of people's lives. And then you're like, well, what am I doing with my life? I don't even have X, Y, or Z, and I don't, and it gets very much of wallowing in despair and loneliness. But I try to make space for loneliness when I feel that, and not just brush it away or stuff it down in an effort to just hide from my emotions or just pretend that they're not real, because they are there and they are real. However, they are not always indicative of reality. Just because I feel lonely while we're walking through the forests of Pine Top does not mean that I am alone. I have friends who are close by, who care about me, and if I speak up and say, "Hey, I'm really struggling with this emotion right now. Can you come alongside me?" They are happy to be there in a split second. I just have to speak up and voice my needs and be open and honest with myself and with others, instead of just stewing in the emotions and wallowing in despair and stuff like that, it's very easy to do that. But that's all the more reason why it's important to do the very important steps of self-care, and if speaking up when I need assistance and help, instead of just expecting people to mind read what your needs are and how to meet them, because that's just not how life works. It's just not how life works. But I do try to not let myself stay in that space of feeling behind in life. I've had a very, very difficult hand dealt to me, especially with things that happened in childhood, that it's incredible the progress that I've made in spite of that. Like how far I've come from even just a couple of years ago, where I would struggle a lot more with not emotionally shutting down in front of people and then just expecting them to know how to take care of me. I didn't do that this time. I was able to utilize better self-care tools that I have added to my arsenal, and as a result, I still do struggle with feeling left behind, or feeling like I'm at least just falling behind, but I do try to counter that with reminding myself of just how far I've come, and just in spite of all that happened to me when I was young, and to be really proud of myself for making it as far as I have, and for not having given up or given in, and that it's amazing how much better you feel when you're not beating yourself up for struggling in life because of things that other people did to you where you did not have control. And when you're able to praise yourself and be grateful and celebrate the tiny victories and sometimes even the really importantly, the major victories of like, I'm moving out and I'm living on my own. Holy cow, that was like a goal for years that I never thought I'd reach, and yet I reached it. Like, that's so cool. So that's, yeah, trying to celebrate the tiny victories, not focusing on wallowing in emotional despair about, oh, I don't have a significant other at this time. Because, yeah, that is true, but that doesn't mean I have to measure my whole existence with the deficit of having met goals. A life is not measured in how many goals you have accomplished. At least this is how I would argue that life is measured in what you have given to others. The interactions you've had with people close to you, with people far away from you, how you've handled horrible things that happened to you, or how you treat others. And so instead of trying to view life as a checklist of things that, yes, I did this, I did that, I did that, because guess what? The saying, the person who dies with the most toys is still dead. You can't take any of that stuff with you, no matter where you're going afterwards, if anywhere. And life should not be measured by accomplishments, but by not the legacy you left behind. That's very cliche. What am I trying to say here? I think it's that life is not about the destination, it's about the journey. And so I'm doing my best to be grateful for the friends and family I have that have come alongside me for this journey. I'm so grateful and so unbelievably lucky to have the friends and family that I do and how much they've supported me. With all that being said, the crazy train continued even after I got back from Pine Top, this is a huge thing for me. I've signed up for fall classes at Mesa Community College. I am going back to school. I'm getting my second associate's degree, but this time in a degree of an associate's of science with an emphasis in geology, as I will be going to school for like the next 3 semesters. I think it's like fall of 2023, spring of 2024, summer of 2024, and then fall of 2024 to graduate. And then I'm going to be transferring probably over to U of A to get a bachelor's degree in the realm of seismology, as that really is something that I am very passionate about. And I'll probably go into more detail about seismology and just kind of nerd over that on a different video, because I could spend way longer just nerding out about that than is going to fit into this video. But that, again, is a huge milestone for me, because it's kind of scary going back to school, even because I haven't been in school for almost a decade. And so it's like, oh boy, I hope I know what I'm doing. And it's like, but I do. I don't want to. The jobs that I've worked were never career focuses for me. Seismology and anything in the earth sciences really have been what I've been passionate and curious about for as long as I can really honestly remember. It's not the only interest I have, obviously, but it's definitely one of the ones that as a career would be just so cool. Space is so cool. The powerful forces of nature and just thunderstorms, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanoes. Oh my gosh, that stuff makes me just like, it's just so cool. Oh, it's so cool. But I'm going to bring myself back down, because I don't want to get stuck talking about that, or we'll be here all day. So, and then right after that, I had a 3-day job for my dad's photography business. That was for one of our oldest clients that we've worked with for like the longest in a long history. And this was the first job that I had worked where my dad was not also on the job. I was kind of one of the only people representing the company, and so that was kind of like a whole new, like, I hope I can do this. And we just knocked it out of the park. The guests were so happy with how we what options were available to them, about the pictures taken, about how they received them. It was so much positive feedback. It was so great. And it was really important that I do that because, you know, those 3 days of work helped pay for the $700 car repairs. Also, it will help pay for, you know, July's rent. August rent, sorry. So that was really cool. And then just to top it all off, the next day, the AC in my house stopped working. I kid you not. So once again, we're still in the midst of that 26-day record, and the AC in the house stops working. And so it's like, ah, crap. That's really not good. Really, really not good. So I ended up going to the folks' house, bringing back a portable AC unit to try to help combat it was like 80s and 90s in the house. It was really uncomfortable, and I was like, this is going to be difficult to sleep. So I brought the AC unit over, the portable AC unit, we plugged it in, we turned it on, and cold air. That was so welcome. And it worked for 20 minutes, and then it shut off, and we're like, we should probably have the thing on all the time. And then we hit this button, and it didn't turn on, and we hit the button again, and it didn't turn on, and we're like, did we blow a fuse? And we look over, and it's like, no, the power strip is still on. And then we look at the plug-in, and the light's not turning on to notify that the power is even working. And so after 20 minutes of building up hope that we would get through this until the next day, because we were on hold for like 3.5 hours for getting somebody out to view the house because it was in the afternoon. Then no one ever picked up. So we had to send messages and just wait out the night before someone would come out to take a look at the AC unit that was broken. And so yeah, what's the word? Is like hope is the first step on the road to disappointment. So yeah, the portable AC unit just stopped working, and so that was so defeating. That was so defeating. But thankfully, we were able to have a repairman come out the next afternoon, and he looked at the AC unit, and thankfully it wasn't like the AC unit itself was broken. There was just some wiring problems that had shorted out in the AC unit, which is why it stopped working. But that was a pretty easy fix, and now I have AC back in my house again. So, all that to say, it has been one crazy past 7 to 10 days, and I'm finally back. I'm looking forward to doing some more videos, and the college courses are definitely going to make uploading videos challenging, but I'm still determined to keep on doing it. They may not be weekly. I would love it if they can still be weekly, but we shall see. So, but yeah. Thank you for listening to this rant from Qui-Gon. I hope this finds you guys in great places in life, and that you just don't forget to be grateful for your friends and family and for those who love and care about you, because they can help take a bad moment or experience and can really turn that around for you if you have the open mind and gratefulness to be not gratefulness, but as long as you're cognizant and aware of just what a difference having close friends and family is. So hope that gives you something to think about. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.